Welcome to Photosynthesis. I'm Nessa, and this is a video about CALATHEA orbifolia. Unboxings, updates, some of my care tips. Let me introduce you to my first little baby, CALATHEA orbifolia. On April 13th, I ordered this plant from Walmart. So I wasn't willing to spend more than $30 on a plant at this point of time in April of 2020. That just seemed completely absurd to me. And now I can't believe the absurd prices plants can be. And I am willing to buy them if I can. So this little plant came beautifully with many leaves, but it was a baby plant. And it was the only plant that I could find for under $30. I went all over the internet and I wanted a more established plant, kind of like the one in the background, but even bigger, because I saw these on Instagram, on Pinterest, and like people had like giant ones, and they probably had those in their collection for a long time, or they just bought them that established. When I saw the leaf on the orbifolia, I was like, wow, this is so pretty. It's so like, the design looks really nice, the silver in it and like the striping, it's really gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous, eye-catching plant. So I found this little baby one with many more leaves. When I ordered it, I knew I was ordering a 2.5-inch little tiny baby orbifolia. Oh boy, did I researched this plant. I heard all the things that people have to say about CALATHEA. I heard all the things people have to say about this particular plant, the orbifolia, and how finicky it is, and what a drama queen it is, and la 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 la. So yeah, they were right. But I, being determined and stubborn with my intensity in trying to become a plant parent and the intensity that I want my plants to succeed, the rate of intensity I have, but it's just not, that's not how it works. No matter how much I will the plant to be beautiful, that's just not. I need to take care and learn about the plant, and yeah, it's totally different than how I approached it. I didn't care what anyone said. I was like, I'm gonna get this plant and I'm going to make it survive. The 9th of April is when the package was delivered, and I received a beautiful little baby plant. If you did see my first like plant tour, then you may have caught it. I put it in a very low light situation, which, no, that was bad. CALATHEA love low light. But I've noticed that the orbifolia and the roundifolia, the darker version of this, they both like to be closer to light, and they do much better. This is when I first started really getting more plants. I had an orchid most of the year. And then in March, I got a few more plants. And then in April, I just started getting a bunch of plants. And this is, I didn't really know much. I didn't know what I was doing, but I repotted this into a much bigger pot. And it didn't like that, for one. It was way too big. It was like triple or quadruple the size of the 2.5-inch pot. I should have left it in that pot, for one. I know everybody said to water it with distilled water or rainwater. I was like, it's okay. It's gonna brown anyway, whatever. So I just used purified water. No, it did not like that. This poor plant fell over a couple times. I feel like twice at least. I think the second time it fell over, that's why I put it in this pot, I think, because it fell over again. I drop things quite often, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that. So before I order this plant, which I'll talk about in a moment, and I'm really happy with this plant back here, this experienced a lot of different things, a lot of dropping, a lot of moving, trying to figure out how to take care of it. It shriveled down to this one leaf. This one leaf. It was a baby plant to begin with, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have this plant. Maybe I shouldn't even wish for a bigger version of this plant. And I was really discouraged by this being my first wish list plant. So many people they warn you in their videos. They talk about how dramatic and terrible this plant can be, but it was just so beautiful and I couldn't resist. But I'm glad that I kept through, because there were a few different plants that started to die on me because I needed to figure out how to care for it properly, and I just wasn't willing to, so I just tossed them aside. This plant I did not toss aside. For the size that this plant came in, it was pretty expensive, so I just wasn't going to toss it, and I was going to figure it out, and I was going to persist. Thank the Lord that I did, because a new growth point started from the stem, and then also another new growth point where there's like a trumpet right now of a whole nother leaf that is coming out, and this plant seems like it's going to survive. So I've learned how to water it properly. I've moved it to a brighter indirect lighting space north. I am in a subtropical zone. I only give it distilled water. A lot of my Calathea or Goeppertia, I water them every other day or give them a little tiny bit of water to keep the top of it moist so it doesn't ever completely dry out. But I recently watched somebody's video and they were talking about care tips, and they had beautiful orbifolia, so I'm not exactly sure if that's like the down packed version of taking care of it, but watering it frequently, just a little bit, not overflowing it with water, so that it constantly stays moist. I do keep my humidity level, usually it stays around 60. I think that's the 58, 60, and then I try not to let it drop below 50. I just can't believe I spent $20 on Walmart.com. I could have just ordered it from Josh's Frogs. I think it's $10 on their site, and then I could have ordered all the other plants that I was ordering, which I don't think I've shared on here, but I've shared a Josh's Frogs order on here. I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but man. With all that being said about this little tiny plant, I've only had it for about 3 months now. 3 months and a couple weeks. Not that long. I'm not an expert. I'm still learning about this plant. But yeah, definitely giving it a little bit of water every day, keeping the soil moist. But also it has good aeration as well. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Last time I repotted it, oh Lord have mercy, in the repotting. I have a repotting problem. But yeah, this plant has been doing much better since I added worm castings. So instead of adding like a fake fertilizer or a synthetic fertilizer, the worm castings are natural, and the plant is doing well. It's starting to thrive again. It's starting to live, and I'm sure it will take a few more months of it to grow, but yeah, it just wasn't thriving. It just wasn't happy, but now it's happy. Yay! While I was acquiring different plants for my wish list, like the velvety aeroids, I kept looking for Calathea orbifolia. On Etsy, I found Ella's Garden, and I think her name is Ella's Garden 04, and I ordered the plant back there. So I'll go ahead and show you my TikTok unboxing as I tell you about this plant. So I ordered on the 24th. For whatever reason, I felt confident enough to get this plant. I think I was sad that this plant shriveled up, and I thought if I get a more established plant, and now that I know how to water it and it's surviving again, maybe I can get another plant. 5/24, I ordered it from Ella's Garden 04 on Etsy, and I got a shipping notification on the 27th, so a few days later, and then the plant arrived 3 days after it shipped. I was really happy with this plant. I thought it was beautiful. It was doing well. It just looked so happy. I was literally giving it water every single day. Every single day. I stopped doing every single day because I started noticing little things that jumping. They're jumping. I think they're springtails. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I have a new pest. I had fungus gnats with a lot of plants. Fungus gnats. Oh, fungus gnats. I think a couple weeks ago, I looked underneath it and was ready to give it another splash of water. And oh my goodness, there were little things. I think they're springtails. With such a finicky plant, I wasn't going to... Yes, I decided to repot it, which could have been disastrous. Before I decided to repot this plant, I did use diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth, and I let it sort of dry out a bit, and I did that for a week. So, and then I decided I was gonna put it into new soil because I wanted to do that anyway. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Since this plant was doing so well with the worm castings, I was like, I want to put this in new soil and then put worm castings in that so that it will grow more. And at first, I really poured on the water when I repotted it because I was nervous that the roots would be too dry, and a few leaves did yellow, so I overwatered it. That's what I did. I was sad that a few leaves were lost, but it's a beautiful plant. A new leaf just unfurled after repotting it. It came with a growth point that unfurled, and then it had a whole nother growth point that unfurled prior to this. There's been a few growth points here, and it seems to be happy. It seems to be happier now that I've kind of let it be after repotting it. What am I thinking? I'm just the repotting villain of the story. Traumatizing all of my plants' roots. But it's doing okay, thank the Lord. Besides the springtails, I'm really happy with this plant. I loved it. I was not happy with this plant shopping experience with Walmart. This was definitely a lesson learned. So I kind of combined an unboxing and lesson learned in this video rather than giving you too many care tips, because again, I've only had this plant for a few months, so I'm not an expert at all. I'm not even intermediate. I'm very beginner status, but nothing's gonna stop me from getting a plant that I want to get, even if I'm a beginner. I was stubborn and I thought I could make this plant just do so well. No. I definitely needed to learn, and I'm still learning, and I'll continue to learn with this beautiful plant. By the way, one thing I was afraid with calatheas, and specifically orbifolia and roundifolia, was spraying neem oil on them. I felt comfortable spraying, like doing the mixture with a little bit of soap and a little bit of neem oil mixed with water. I was afraid to spray that on this particular plant. I had a roundifolia, which I think also had springtails, so that might have been where the springtails came from. I was spraying that with neem oil and kind of like testing it, and Zabrina with that, and they were fine, completely fine. And then I started to spray these with neem oil to help with pest control, and they were fine. The water mixture though is distilled water, so they were okay with the neem oil, but I did use distilled water, and they were okay with the soap. So I don't know. That completes this video. Now I'm gonna go ahead and place these back where they belong. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already, and if you have any questions, or especially if you have any advice on the Goeppertia orbifolia, let me know down below. And yes, again, not an expert, I am a beginner, and this is my brand new experience and update, unboxing update, and lesson learned. Hopefully I'm learning, more like I am learning. I'm in the process of learning. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.